ladies, come on, ladies. 1 pound fish. Come on, ladies, come on, ladies. 1 pound fish.
Last summer, Crystal Palace made club history by winning the 2025 FA Cup final in a 1-0 victory over Manchester City. This win launched the club into their first major UEFA tournament, where they were supposed to compete in the Europa League. However, if you were there last year, then you would know that due to multi-club ownership rules, fellow Eagle Football Holdings club Olympique Lyon would get the spot, while Palace would be thrown into the Conference League playoff against Fredrikstad. It is here where our journey today begins, as I am going to be dissecting my beloved Eagles' European campaign thus far, as well as maybe offering my outlook on the upcoming playoff match between Crystal Palace and Bosnian side Zrinski Mostar. Our first visit to the Conference League began on August 21st, 2025, in a two-leg playoff against Norwegian side Fredrikstad. The Eagles needed to start off with a win if they wanted to make it to the league phase, as their bid was not automatic. The first match, on the 21st, took place at Sellers Park, where Palace secured a 1-0 win. All things considered, the match was very linear. We dominated possessions and had 6 times the attempts on goal as they did. Our breakthrough came in the 54th minute, with the beloved Jean-Philippe Mateta heading the ball in off a shot on goal from Will Hughes. That puts JP in the history books for our first ever European goal. Woohoo! We went to Norway for leg 2 in a match that can only be described by me as a bit of a snooze fest. Palace mainly just dug in and made efforts to keep the lead they'd acquired the week prior to. Statistically, it was a lot more even of a match, with neither side getting more than 10 shots on target. It wasn't the most glorious fashion, but with leg 2 ending in a 0-0 draw, Palace had officially claimed their spot in the main competition.
Hello, Biden. It's Zelensky. We need 5 billion rockets to bomb Donetsk children.
At last, Crystal Palace Football Club make it to their first match within the actual tournament of a major European Cup. And what a way to kick it off than facing one of the Ukrainian giants in Dynamo Kiev. Watching this match was a lot of fun, especially considering the fact that I've never in my life gotten the opportunity to see my Palace play on this stage until this season. In open play, things were pretty even, with 50-50 possession between the clubs by the end of the match. What made all the difference in the end was the Eagles being able to capitalize off the chances they took on goal. First, in the 31st minute, with a lovely ball across the box from Yeremy Pino to find the head of Daniel Munoz, who finished with such class. The second, being another solid team goal in the 58th minute, where Pino again puts a lovely ball across to find Eddie Nketiah. Palace secured the 3 points in the end, while also showing unity with the Ukrainian fans through a hilarious chant. Great way to start the campaign.
The weather is very good. There may be a little turbulence because the road of Cyprus is very shit.
Our next match would be our first at home in the main competition, this time against Cypriot side AEK Larnaca. Going to be honest, this was the match I had the most confidence for going into, but my oh my was I in for a wild ride. Crystal Palace controlled the open pitch with much more efficiency than they did. They possessed the ball longer, had more shots attempts, but those stats mean jack shit when you cannot put the ball in the damn net. And eventually, this inability to score would come to haunt us in the end. A poor pass by J.D. Convo gave the ball right to the opposition, where Riyad Bayesh put the ball away beautifully and gave Larnaca the lead in the 51st minute. Palace would fail to equalize, and the match ended in an embarrassing 1-0 loss at home. Look, I'm not one for what ifs, but winning that match would have put us up into the automatic round of 16 positions, rather than having to do the playoffs. Just fucking sad.
Ben niet dom, laat me maar vliegen in de luchtballon. En dan denk ik soms, is iedereen stom.
Okay, this one, in my eyes, was Palace's most complete match in the Conference League so far, especially given that the opponent is no small club. Another one at Sellers Park, this time our opponent being the famed AZ Alkmaar. They're essentially in the Dutch League's cuck chair trying to fit in with the big three, but nevertheless, they are still a very well-respected club with a lot of European experience under their belt, and I had anticipated this to be one of the hardest matches we'd have. This match to me was really indicative of what gave Palace so much success in the 19 matches they went unbeaten from April 2025 to October 2026. Glasner digs the lads into a defensive shape, forfeiting a large chunk of possession throughout the match. Instead of worrying about having the ball, Palace lays in wait until it naturally comes to them, where they then are able to attack with a lot more cohesiveness. This is how they were able to put up 3 goals despite the few chances they had with the ball. A sloppy Mateta penalty in the 17th minute would be saved, giving me an aneurysm. But from there, the goals began to come, as the miss would soon be followed by a Lacroix screamer in the 22nd minute. Yeah, let's fucking go. I love when defenders score. And then from there, we would get a brace from Ismail Assar, one 4 minutes in the first half stoppage time, and the other in the 57th minute. He always scores in some of the most clutch moments for us. Great lad he is. And a much, much needed 3 points for the Eagles.
Oh! 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 Who you? What the fuck?
Oh boy. Oh man. What can be said about this one, huh? The match itself was fine, you know. A competitive bout between two clubs which are quite respected in their own countries that ended in a 2-1 defeat for Palace. What really took center stage with this one was the violence that was seen during the visit to the Alsace club. And what is crazier was that this violence was hardly witnessed between the two clubs themselves, but rather within Palace's own fan base. What the fuck are we doing, guys? Now, supposedly, the clashes were between our Keystone Ultras group, the Holmesdale Fanatics, and an unnamed group of fans who traveled to Strasbourg for the match. Now, I wasn't there, so I do not know exactly what happened, but I can only imagine that it was another instance of right wing groups within the club fighting the Fanatics due to their moral and political beliefs. As a minority myself, it's a lot easier in this situation to side with the Holmesdale Fanatics, as they are a diverse group and quite outspoken against racism, fascism, and authoritarianism. It's 2026. If you are seriously basing someone's value off of their appearance, you're honestly not even human. Let's do better, Palace. But anyways, back to the match. It was honestly extremely even, with both sides having a lot of chances. The first goal came in the 35th minute when JP played an incredible ball to Tyrick Mitchell to put the Eagles up 1-0. Strasbourg would respond with a stunning team goal of their own in the 53rd minute to equalize. Despite being toe-to-toe for most of the match, the difference would finally come in the 77th minute, when Palace failed to clear the ball after a set piece had hit the woodwork, a rather unlucky goal. This is one I'm not too disappointed with. Strasbourg is another club with far more European experience in the past 3 decades. The biggest takeaway from this one is that if you're a Palace fan and you're a bigot, we do not want you here. Go be like a Millwall fan or some shit. They're pretty racist if I recall. Ah, yes. The last win Palace had before spiraling into a 12-match winless run that lasted until our recent 1-0 win over Brighton. Thanks again. This match was not much of a nail-biter. It was over before halftime, really. 3 goals in 37 minutes, quite routine stuff, really. Eddie Nketiah over the middle to find Constantius Uche in his full Palace debut in the 11th minute. Then in the 25th, Uche shoots on goal only to be denied by the woodwork, but an Nketiah tap-in gives him the second goal. The third then came in the 37th minute with an individual goal from Yeremy Pino that put a tear of joy in my eye. Again, not too much to say about this one. A memorable away day to a beautiful city, which ended in a thrashing of the opponent.
But I wish that in Finland everyone can homo in marriage for free.
And finally, that brings us to the last match of the league phase against KuPS Kuopio. This match was a lot more even than I thought it was going to be, alright? This was the only club in our Conference League season that I did not even know existed before seeing them on our schedule. But this small club, hailing from Finland of all places, walked into Selhurst Park and made it a living nightmare for us. And the thing is, you guys bamboozled me. You had me from the start. Uche comes out in the 5th minute and puts an absolute worldie into the back of the net. Here I was thinking the shit was over before it even began, but my oh my was I in for a long night. KuPS would go on to score 2 goals within 5 minutes at the 50th and 53rd minutes, respectively. The thing is, as much as I want to be, I cannot even be upset about these. Both of the goals were worked really well by KuPS, and they even earned them. They really did. Palace needed to have much better defense throughout this match, but nevertheless, fair play to the Finnish side. Luckily, Justin Devaney would swoop in like a fucking ball hawk on the far post to make Palace level. It was a great cross from Tyrick Mitchell as well. Overall, the match was a disappointment, but not as frustrating as some of the other ones this season. Finally, we got to Zrinski Mostar. By the time I upload this video, it will either be right before the first leg being played in Mostar or after the fact. But either way, the main focus of this video was just to recap our league phase. I'll probably be making something separate about the playoffs depending on how they go. At the end of it all, Crystal Palace Football Club finished 10th in the table, just 2 spots below the top 8, who all automatically qualify for the round of 16. Honestly, I can't complain much about our first major European tournament. There were some extremely frustrating moments, yes, but this is a season I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. When I became a Palace fan as a young boy, watching players like Wolf Zaha, Joel Ward, and Julian Speroni, I never imagined that we would be playing in Europe like this. So I am grateful, truly, for the players, new and old, who helped us get here, to Super Ollie Glasner, to all my fellow Eagles. This has been a dream come true for me, and I hope we're able to make it far now that we're out of the league phase. That's all for me for now, and as always, come on, you Palace! Post-editing Sacked in here, and it is currently 3 in the morning. I figured I should get this video out before the playoffs, since it's a video kind of going over the league phase. But it took me a lot of time and effort, and I'm a pretty busy student who does this just as a passion. If you have it in your heart and you really enjoyed my content, if you could leave a like, subscribe, comment, any form of interaction really helps. Tell anyone who loves football about it. I really just try to spread awareness about the beautiful game and Crystal Palace. I'm gonna try to make more content about just general fan culture soon, but I wanted to start out with some stuff for my Eagles. But that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great one. Come on, you Palace.